If Antarctica were music, it would be Mozart. Art, and it would be Michelangelo. Literature, and it would be Shakespeare. And yet it is something even greater, the only place on Earth that is still as it should be. May we never tame it.
Hello, I'm Lyn Jarvis, contributing editor for Across the Fence, and today you're in for a real treat. We will be visiting the Earth's most southern and coldest continent, Antarctica. And why the coldest, you might ask?
Surrounded by ice, the interior areas do not benefit from the moderating influence of Southern Ocean waves and currents. And with 98% of the continent covered by ice and snow, most of the sun's warming rays are reflected rather than absorbed. We are here in January, the Antarctic summer, with the average temperatures ranging in the mid-30s on the peninsula, but dropping well below zero as you move closer to the South Pole. Mild sunny days greeted us, and with crisp pollution-free air, it was a photographer's dream and made exploring this remote land an unforgettable experience. Because of the exceptional conditions, our Antarctica 21 crew took our ship, the Ocean Nova, deep into this pristine and untrodden land. 32 of us from 13 countries were on board, and it took 4 Zodiacs, each with a guide, to transfer us to the mainland for our on-ice adventures. It wasn't long until we saw our first penguin, and I was sure it had been trained to lead our group up the slippery trail. A large Gentoo penguin colony resides on the slopes around Paradise Bay. They are easily recognized with their orange bills and feet with short wings spread out for balance. This one had places to go and things to do. Aicho Island is the site of a chinstrap penguin colony. Further from the South Pole, warmer air and water provided a new landscape for us to explore. Chinstraps are black and white with a distinctive black line connecting their black caps to their chins. They nest from November to March in large colonies on rough boulder-strewn slopes. Penguins are gregarious, and once they begin the conversation, just like humans, they communicate louder and louder with wings flapping until no one can be heard. They use open nests lined with pebbles and whatever they can find. Most of the chicks had hatched, but this one was just a few hours old, and it was a touching moment to watch. One could see and even feel the concern of the anxious mother waiting for her baby to gain the strength to stand. And she had every right to be worried, as the nemesis of all penguins is the giant petrel who prey on their young. Once a chick is targeted, there is little that can be done to spare it from certain death. Here are some of my favorite Antarctica penguin moments.
Last I checked the chart, it showed that near at hand lie unseen, unnamed ocean glades where humpback whales glide and sing, all at their majestic glacial pace, great, gentle cloud-like beings drifting with currents too slow to sense. A long, dark wire winds and coils down through the midnight ship to a listening point beneath the keel. Up, out of the dark waters pour wild arias, cantatas, magnificats, recitatives and requiems whose boiling echoes are tumbling and cascading around the cathedral vaults of the sea. a mad welter of resonance, a seething, irrepressible contrabass, mezzo, soprano, falsetto of whale song. The wildest, most joyous music of all.
Amazing! Back aboard the Ocean Nova, I asked Miguel Echapare how many whales were in Dolphin Bay.
There were at least 15 humpback whales. They were all feeding there on those areas because covered bays are very good for krill patches to bloom there. So they were using a technique that is called a bubble net, catching all the krill they can. Humpback whales have one of the largest migrations in the whole world actually. On the winter season, they will go up to lower latitudes, Brazil mostly. They will breed there, they will have their calves there, and then on the summer season they will come to the Southern Ocean to feed only. They would only feed for 5 or 4 months in 1 year, and then they will migrate again north, and they will have their calves and so on. The humpback whales will stay here in the Antarctic continent for about 4 months mostly, and all the time they will be eating there, and they will be gaining weight and fat for the whole year, because on the other time of the year they won't eat anything, and they have to live on their fat during the whole time, and they have to feed their calves on their fat actually. They have to so yeah, it's hard to be a whale.
Icebergs are centuries old and begin their lives as snow on the top of glaciers. Slowly, the snow is compacted into ice and eventually calves off the face of the glacier to be reborn as an iceberg. The striking blue color is the result of enormous weight that compresses the air within the ice and, over time, scatters the light much like the blue sky. Let me explain what's next. During Antarctic summers, icebergs melt a little, both above and below the water's surface, causing size and shape to shift. The balance of weight and mass changes as shown by the small iceberg's up and down movement. Look closely at this iceberg. Beautiful, isn't it? But that line around the base shows that the forces of Mother Nature are at work, deep within the melting ice, causing cracks, pressure points, and unstable balance. Mariano, our expedition leader, moved us away to a safer vantage point. We couldn't believe what we were seeing. Tons of ice were slowly rising out of Sierra Cove. The force of falling ice created an enormous wave that was headed our way, and Mariano sped away. When we looked back, this is what was left. The iceberg had rolled, and ice never seen before was glistening in the Antarctic sun. No one spoke. We had witnessed an awesome and, yes, somewhat frightening display of nature's force. It was an exhilarating experience. We asked expedition leader Mariano Curiel for more details.
Here in Sierra Cove, what we just saw was a whole big iceberg rolling around because it lost balance. We saw that iceberg in very good shape like the ones there,
Now it's a totally new iceberg here. That's where we get all the ice around. All this ice wasn't here until after the ice rolled and broke off. We found a little piece of ice here, very clear one. That you can see some bubbles even inside. All this ice, this is very old. It's all compact ice. Everything started with snow. So the snow will get compressed by the snow on top. It will lose the air, and at the end it will be pretty much fresh water, frozen fresh water. Well, you can look inside here, some bubbles. That was air, that was the atmosphere thousands of years ago. And that's what the scientists use to study climate change and many other aspects of science.
Can you drink it?
You can drink it. It's probably fresh than the water you get at home.
In Antarctica, 6 seal species thrive because of the enormous amount of blood in relation to their body size, which enables them to withstand cold and spend up to 30 minutes underwater. Searching for food, and during dives their heartbeat slows from 100 beats per minute to 4 or 5, reducing oxygen consumption while swimming. Here's a quick look at the 5 species that we saw, starting with the Weddell seal. An afternoon trek on Trinity Island's south coast brought us to a sad chapter in the history of Antarctica. A whale graveyard that poignantly shows just how close these majestic creatures that we were in awe of a few hours earlier came to extinction. Historian Adrian Hawkins explained.
The whaling bones we have here probably come from the early 20th century, and what would have happened was that the large, or the factory ships, would have anchored in bays like this that have killed the whales a little further out to sea, that have known of the presence of these bays to bring the whales into, and that have used the ships like these water boats to fence the blubber off the whales out in the open ocean. And by the time of the Second World War, there were almost no whales. And then we have the moratorium in the 1980s put a ban on whaling, and we still have that ban today in the area around Antarctica. It's free from any whaling. So little by little the whale populations are recovering, but it's still very few in comparison to what they were 100 years ago when these whalers would have been hunting the whales.
On our last day aboard the Ocean Nova, with sleet coming down, we were given the opportunity for a swim in the Antarctic Ocean. Out of the 32 of us on board, 5 brave souls accepted the invitation, one being our insane video editor, Marco Ayala.
It was great. It was extremely cold, but totally worth it.
Our time here in Antarctica has come to an end, and to return to South America, we have to cross the dreaded Drake Passage by boat. Named for explorer Sir Francis Drake, it connects Antarctica to the southern tip of South America, Cape Horn, and it is the roughest ocean in the world. The crossing will take us about 48 hours, and I've read that people compare it to stepping inside a washing machine. Now, I'm quite prone to motion sickness, so I have my pills, patches, and pressure bands, so wish us luck.
When it comes to the Drake Passage, Lady Luck is usually dealt a losing hand. Winds of 50 miles an hour plus and 20-foot waves battered the Ocean Nova. The desk chair tipped over, pens and paper slid off the table, and I had to hang on to the bed rails to keep from being tossed out. For 2 days and nights, I hardly left the room. The crossing of the Drake Passage signaled the end of our journey, and to celebrate our safe return, the Antarctica 21 crew hosted an on-deck barbecue. It was a festive affair with rock and roll music playing in the background. Along with a delicious array of food and drinks, it was our last opportunity to mingle with our new friends, both fellow passengers and crew that worked so hard to make this an adventure of a lifetime. The chill in the air didn't dampen the festivities to celebrate our accomplishment as we said our goodbyes, hoping to one day meet again.
I hope you have enjoyed our visit to the coldest and most remote place on Earth, Antarctica. For me, it has been an awesome and exhilarating adventure. The penguins, the glaciers, and yes, even that strike at Punta Arenas will be among some of my most memorable travel highlights. I'm pleased that I could share this adventure with all of you. I'm Lyn Jarvis for Across the Fence in Antarctica, and thank you for watching.